I'll call this special meeting to order to approve such expenditures retroactive to May 9th, 2023. This is due to procedural errors made by the county. So moving on to discussion number 2, approval of expenditures. Is there any questions or discussions on the expenditures for April? Commissioner Ware? No question. I'll entertain a motion to approve the expenditures. Is there any questions or discussions on the expenditures for
Somebody else. No, it's
Commissioner, where was there any discussions or actions that you have to take on expenditures?
So do we still?
You have him muted or
does he
is
have
he
his
muted?
he has himself. Mr. Ware, you're muted if you're talking.
I wasn't talking.
Oh, okay.
Do I have a motion to approve the expenditures?
I'll move to approve the expenditures.
Thank you. I'll second those. Moving on to discussion 3, approval is. Oh, no, is there any discussion? Yeah, okay. Seeing none. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Kern, Commissioner Ware,
No,
Chairman Trujillo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, item number 3, discussion actual approval of expenditures pursuant to resolution 2022-49. There any questions or discussions on this one, Commissioner?
I just like somebody to state for the record what that resolution is. So it's in the minute.
County Manager, would you mind?
Julian is not on.
Resolution, it's a conflict.
It's our conflict of interest resolution.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a conflict of interest resolution. Good.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. So I will go ahead and approve these expenditures as chairman. Pursuing the resolution. So there is no room for a vote to do that. Item 3 has been approved, so. Motion to adjourn. Second.
Mr. Kern. Mr. Ware.
I abstain.
Chairman Trujillo.
Yes. Motion carries.
Mr. Ware, I'm just gonna mute us and turn off the video for now till we start the budget workshop.
Okay.
Morning, Commissioners, County Manager, Madam Clerk. So today I've prepared a couple of schedules as requested by the commission, at the last meeting. So if everyone is ready, we'll just begin now. So the first thing I wanted to kind of cover with the commission is, I did make a change. The DFA website has now posted the 2022 tax valuation data. Last workshop, we used the 2021, because that was the most current one. So that did change. The 2021, the residential was $427,028.869. Sorry, it's $427,028,869. And that did increase on the 22 tax year. That increased to $442,180. $442,180.959. So that did increase a little bit. And then the non-residential also increased. It went from 220,141. It increased. Oh, I'm sorry. It decreased to 217,000. So you'll see those changes up on the top where it has the property tax category. Those have been updated. So I believe at our last budget workshop, there was a request for just a salary increase. The maximum amount of salary increase that we can give to all staff. And the max that I was able to do was around 10% or 10%. So the 10% is budgeted. And that is balanced budget of 136,000. And that does include the additional position that was requested in the road department. But figure out. So if there's any questions on that?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go ahead. Commissioner.
is she showing anything on screen? Because I'm not seeing it. If she's showing,
No, at this time, which she is.
I should be.
no, I'm not looking at her screen. I can't see her screen.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Ware.
There you go. Can you see? Is it now on there now?
Yes.
Yeah, I can see it now.
So is there any questions or can we go on to the next?
One question, gentlemen, this would also include an increase in FTE for the grant writer, correct?
Yes,
Okay, any others?
no, it's just the grant writer, and
And
the road.
the room.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, and yours, but that was included from the last time. That was included in the last one.
So I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear that. That was increased FTE for roads department and for the grant writer, and that, but it also includes the increased FTE for the sheriff's office.
No, it was the clerk's office, and that was on the last workshop. The grant writer and manager's office was also in the last workshop, and the new one from this workshop is the road department.
But the previous one had one for the sheriff, correct? And that,
From the ARPA, the one that was budgeted from the ARPA? Yes.
Other comments, Commissioners?
So, Mr. Chairman, Jonah, can I request, just for clarification, and I apologize, But can I request that you do an updated version of the year-over-year FTE report by department?
It's not gonna change from the one that I gave you the last time, except for just an increase to the road department. But yeah, I can get that to you.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Go ahead and proceed with the next one.
Okay, so there's no other questions on that. The next one that we have was a combination, between the two. And I believe that best case scenario that we can get, in that is going to be a combination of a 5% salary increase and 60% para pickup for new position.
Hello, commissioners, any questions, Commissioner Weir?
So in this new statute that's allowing us to pay portion of the employee's para expense, do we have to say 50% or can we say the actual percentage? So like they're going to pay 11%. We say we pay 6 or 5.5%, or do we have to say their total para percentage like 50? How is that in the statute? Is it required to be recorded?
So I gave you a copy of the sample resolution that was dispersed by para last time. In the resolution that they gave us, it actually has a percentage.
Because my only concern with the percentage is as para continues to go up, the county's responsibilities will continue to go up. If it's like 50%, or if we're saying we're going to pay half, as theirs continue to go up, we continue to pay half. Whereas if we just said we'll pay 5% of their 11%, you know what I'm saying? I know they're both percentages, but we would pay 5% of their income. It would be a fixed amount, so that, I mean, we could always, through future resolutions, increase that number if we wanted to. But, you know, one of the concerns about paying para is once we do it, we can't back out of it. And if we gave a fixed percent of their income that we would pay towards para, it would give the commission more flexibility in the future to, to be able to make decisions based on our revenues. Because my concern is that I think we're going to be approaching I don't know about a full recession, but at least in the housing market, a recession, and in the coming year or two. And we may be in a position where doing this now and tying our hands may force us to lay staff off in the future because we can't back out of it for the staff we have. Because if our revenues start going down, our primary expenditure is salaries. And as much as I want to make sure people get paid appropriately, I also don't like the prospect of laying people off.
So, in 2024, we will go to 11.65 on the employee portion and 10.80 on the employer portion for regular para. The police para or the law enforcement will go from to 14.85 on the employee portion and 20.15 on the employer portion. And then 2025, it will go up a 0.5%, and it'll max out in 2026, 1%. So the difference between 2024 and 2026. Currently in 2024, we will be at 11.65. 2026, we will go to 12.65 and 11.80 as the employer portion, and the law enforcement portion will go to 15.85 on the employee portion, and the employer portion will be 21.15. So it's 1% would be the max that we would peak at 2026.
And that's another thing to think about. I think if we say 50%, then certain classes of employees are going to get more benefit out of it than other classes of employees. Whereas if we say we're just going to pay 5% or a fixed number or a percentage based on their salary, then I think it's a fair distribution of the benefit.
Now, I would say that you probably can't pay a portion of their salary because parents not going to determine that in the resolution. I could look at a flat rate, but as far as a portion of their salary, I don't think that we'd be able to incorporate it in the resolution.
Well, no, what I'm saying is a flat percent, like a percent of their salary, because that's how para is calculated in the first place. It's a percent of your salary or your how much money you make. It's a deduction based on your how much money you make and a percentage of that. And I'm just saying doing a flat percentage of the salary as opposed to a percentage of the amount of para.
I don't have anything else further to do at this time. Did we still have the option of what the para was prior?
Yes, so the regular para with no additional commission pickup is in the example of the 10% salary increases. That's to leave para the way it is and to do only salary increases.
And then you still have just para? Did you do that example again with the updated numbers?
For the 75?
Yes.
Yes.
Right?
No, this is the 5% salary increase with a 60% para pickup. And then the other one that we had originally discussed was a 75% para pickup.
That was in the first packet, right?
Correct. I didn't give you another copy of it. Well, I didn't give it to you in your I didn't give it to you in your packet that you have, but I did email it to you. But here is the 75.
And that one also included the extra FTE,
Yes,
the one that's in the email.
yes, I did include the road department in it.
Thanks.
Commissioners, I'm not sure how which way you're kind of leaning. I'd lean on you with your experience on this. I feel the 5% and 60 para, I mean, leaving the leftover budget at roughly $3,000. I feel that's skimming the bucket a little, but I'm not too sure as far as what the next thing.
I agree. I think that one puts it in pretty tight.
And even with the 75, that's pretty kind of back to.
What about just a 60%?
60% pickup without the 5%. Well, I entertain that. More so. I like it, the 10% overall. I like that the numbers come out with the county. I feel like that's a better margin of error. But at the same point, I don't want us to do the 10%. It would be beneficial. Heard it from the bigger departments and elected offices, but they seem to be in favor of the para contribution.
Well, I think as a retention thing, like we talked about before, I think the para would speak the loudest as far as retaining. I understand Commissioner Weir's point about trying to raise salaries as a recruitment piece, but you know, we're fairly well staffed with the exception of, unfortunately, for Warden Slade, and I'd like to focus on retention.
I'd agree with that. Commissioner Weir, any comment?
No, I don't have any more comments. I think you guys understand where my thoughts on the matter. I've explained them to you, and no other comments.
Thank you, Commissioner Weir. So commissioners, would we want to have John go back and just do the 60% error? 65 or any kind of number out there that you're thinking? Or adjust the 5% COLA or anything like that?
I think, Mr. Chairman, if our goal is a net increase of 10% of a net increase of 10% of their take-home pay, an increase in take-home pay, which is what I thought I heard you say. Of course, my opinion is it should be as heavily positioned towards salary increase as you guys will agree upon.
Don't have anything.
All right, so I guess we're gonna have to, John, if you would, I guess, can we do a 60% error again, or see what it would look like just with just a 6% error, and then I don't feel like it's necessarily needed to go below 5 on the, because at that point you're just.
Yeah, I mean, even 5, you're not gonna see much, maybe about 50% for 50 cents.
It's not gonna be-
No.
Okay.
60, 65 to the era.
Yeah, would you mind? Put it
Okay.
in there.
So I guess my only concern is we do have another budget workshop scheduled for, the morning of the 23rd. And then that'll be, I mean, right after that is preliminary approval. We have to submit a preliminary budget, to DFA by the end of May 31st.
Well, with that, I mean, so I'd say go forward and make sure we have enough room in there within our budget, because I don't, to have $3,000 left over in the budget is not enough.
Okay. So as long, I mean, is there like a threshold that you want to see? And I can make it work for that.
I mean, I'm comfortable with 136, but this is where I'll lean on my fellow commissioners to kind of, from their experience, we have a comfortable feeling what we'd like to see that delivered.
Well, you know, I think we're fortunate to be in the position that we are to be talking about these kind of increases, because I know in the past, and Jonah can remember it too, we busted chops to get it to balance with no increases and only have $6 left.
Yeah.
So.
And I did want to remind you, Commissioner, Hill, that the formulas that you see off in item in K do not include the beginning cash balances. It is just the budgeted revenues for this incoming year And then your transfers and transfers out expenditures. So it doesn't include the beginning cash balance in those totals. Those are just reflected in, column J.
Thank you. And assessor.
Yes, Christy Graham, Colfax County Assessor, I just wanna assure you that you received my maintenance and plan for my quarterly report, and I can be here because I was on my evaluation. But we are up $32 million, just so you know, it's pretty explanatory, we are not in the negative. The only negative that shows is head of family and veterans, which that means we have taken a lot of head of family and veterans off. But I just want to reassure you, we are 32 million. Yes, the market could change. Right now, the market is moving, especially in the Angel Fire area, but it could change. You know, but I just want to stand and let you know that if you read this, it tells you everything we're doing, and we're doing from 23 to 27 is our 5-year plan to go out door to door and reappraise again. But we are up.
Is that what we're receiving quarterly updates?
Yeah, and that is my valuation and maintenance plan that tells you everything where we're at. As far as school districts, residential, non-residential. So if you look at it and you have questions, please come see me. And we can talk about it, but we are in the positive, so. But it could change next year, we don't know.
No, and that's probably one of the questions I had in prior years of recessions and stuff like that. Has your office seen a spike in the
Yes.
this is the appraisals, protests?
Yes, because we have taken sales up to the sales amount, so we do have people protesting that, stating that what they paid for the house is not worth. And then we go and stand up and confirm that, but yeah, we have 2 protests that are going to formal hearing. They just purchased the house, we put it at the sales price, and they are actually protesting that, stating their house was not worth that.
Then why did they buy it?
That's what we told them. Yeah, they said it's not worth, yeah, we're going to formal with the state, so the state's gonna back us up because we have to take it to the
We
state.
have to say that.
And we can help sell that to the dating.
So, and I kind of agree with Commissioner Weir on this about coming recession and real estate and stuff like that. I too do real estate, and I've seen a decline in it as far as sales go, and my concern is to have this little bit of breathing room. So if numbers are still, like I said.
Then also, I did receive an email from the treasurer's office, letting us know that their collection rates did decrease so much. I don't know.
I think they're coming up. I think we're making up for what we didn't have in April. It's increasing, so I think we're gonna be at the percentage rate we've been in the past years. Treasurer Gill sent in the wrong numbers when I came in 21. It was showing like 80-some%, but when I redid it, the numbers increased, and it looks like we should be making it up.
Thank you.
I've been checking on it kind of daily because April kind of scared me, but.
So from your experience, Commissioner Bernard, I guess the lower numbers on the screen here, 6,600, that's comfortable, or?
I wouldn't say comfortable, I'd rather see it, 50,000-60,000 at least. 100,000 would be better, but I'm not concerned about it. Because like Jonah said, the cash balances aren't included and so I'd be comfortable with it.
John, I have a question to go back and do some. And then wherever you can make the numbers work with that, as far as other parent contribution.
And no salary increase.
I'd say no, sorry. I know, I understand. Commissioner, you would want to see that.
And then also,
Yes.
we do have that canvas on Monday for
Okay.
for today's election. If you guys want to schedule a budget.
It's good, no budget hearing right after that.
And we can go 8:30, 8:15 on the canvas.
Will that work better for you, John? Just in case there's
Okay,
anything
well,
else.
that would be Monday, what date?
Next Monday,
You can't hear what you guys are saying.
sorry.
Yeah, but finish off. The Monday,
On Monday,
Yes.
Commission.
What are you asking for? them to do?
Going, looking mostly, only looking at a pair increase, we're having a budget surplus of 50. This is, you know,
That'd be fine. We'll
thank you,
You
Joe.
have it done by then.
meet Monday.
And I also was, just want to let the fellow commissioners know, I was contacted by during that time. They were looking for looking for some funding, I guess, set up like that as well. So I think maybe if they're looking for funding in the future, they could come to us in the regular meeting, unless you guys want to the rest of the budget now. From conversation, I think they were looking at 25,000. You want to wait or discuss it or put it in its budget?
I'd rather wait, but
No, I,
I defer to what the other commissioners do.
Commissioner Weir.
So I'm sorry, but Mr. Chairman, but a lot of what you said was choppy, so I'm not even clear on what we're discussing.
Okay, so if you look at actually, already, you know, I see here, it's growing the organizations, the businesses growing. They were receiving the funding for their program, and use it to pay for an employee, and this way it also would allow them more opportunities to do economic development. And I know the recommendations to sound representative, and that's where the more Senate we don't have to go on the board. And would we like to consider this as a budget now, or wait until later and they present it to us? I'm okay with maybe.
Well, I think, you know, this is budget time, so if we're considering doing this, I think we should do it now.
If we have a budget hearing on Monday after the canvassing, I guess they could come and present at that meeting, but I would, see what they're asking for clarification and everything, but
Yeah, at this time, let's just hold off at this meeting. I'll see if they want to present it at this next budget hearing, but before now, we'll hold off to get more clarification and affirm what they're asking.
Okay. So one of the other things that I wanted to cover as well is last year commission voted to fund each municipal EMS ambulance service $40,000 through the MCMC fund. I did not budget it this time. I wanted to verify that commission wanted to continue that this year as well. So the total amount was 200,000 and it was $40,000 through for each municipal EMS program.
So, Mr. Chairman, I would like to see the county continue that program. That money is very meaningful to our EMS services, and in that, the county does not provide EMS services itself. To me, it's very appropriate for the county to step in and help those municipal EMS services that provide service to our unincorporated constituents. And to, as you know, our EMS services are struggling. They're still struggling. We just lost both of our EMS people in Eagle Nest. And I know that right now Cimarron is having to frequently send ambulances to Springer because Springer is, even though they have an EMS service, it's not as robust as they would like. And I think this continued support from the county is very important for our constituents and assuring that they have, adequate emergency health care.
And just to clarify, Commissioner Kern and Commissioner Hill, what we did last year is it was a transfer from, was it?
It's still in general, I think it's still in general, we haven't transferred it out.
I transferred it last, but the actual 200,000, wasn't it from the investments? And we
Transfer
transferred
the
it into,
investment, but you also have to realize once that money's gone, it's gone.
so what we did last year is we took it from the investments, brought it into general fund, and then transferred it as it's being used into the MCMC hospital fund and dispersed it from there to yes. So what that would consist of is visiting with the treasurer to ensure, which I'm sure there's still $200,000 in that investment.
Well, yeah, it was transferred to the last year's.
No, for
No,
another
there's
one this year.
Yeah, but I do have to redeem that CD this week. But you have to realize what that money was there for.
Sure.
I have one question and maybe Manager Gore can get clarification on this. I was told that the ambulance service in Raton was no longer making transports out of county, like to Albuquerque or such. If that's the case, then I would have a problem supporting that. If so, I'm a firm believer that we need to support our EMS, but if they're not willing to transport out of the county to take somebody to the hospital in Santa Fe or Albuquerque or that, then I think we need to revisit just paying everybody the same amount. Because then that puts all of the responsibility on Springer and Cimarron. And I understand, they're having to pull a unit out of town and everything, and then, staff and team out of town. I understand it's tough, it's hard, but if the county is supporting it, then I think they need to support the whole county, because I was told that there was an individual in Maxwell that needed to be transported to Albuquerque and they refused to do so. Now, whether or not that's true, I can't verify that, but I just think we need clarity.
And maybe they should look at grants too, because that money's been there since over 25 years, and now we've never used it, only for like indigent what we needed here, so it continued to grow. But again, once that money is gone, it's gone.
Yeah, no. And that's the thing, I'm in support of doing this for another year. I agree with Commissioner Kern. I've been in a situation before where I've had to throw my dad in the car and drive him to Pueblo because Raton wouldn't do it or find someone to do it. So that's just one instance that I have personal experience on. But we need to find a solution to this and not just dig into our investment reserves for it. Our investment reserves are fine for digging in from time to time, but not as recurring instance. So I'd ask maybe the county manager for some clarification. We could bring this up on when they work up.
I have to redeem that CD.
And it's just for clarification, it's just the MPMP hospital fund.
Right.
So that fund is actually earmarked for only medical.
service.
So it's not coming from our reserves that it would be from general fund. It is just from the MCMC.
Right,
So
but I have to redeem that CD this week. I can't, or I can wait, we'll just lose interest. Don't give me interest until you guys decide what you want to do.
I think that's fine, because we,
I think that's fair.
yeah, because we could redeem it afterwards in a week time. Give us,
I can't, I'm have to redeem it and invest it.
we just can't hold it. For a week and then reinvest it at that time.
We could just reinvest it for short, possibly short term, and then if we agree to do it.
I could do it for 32 days and then you guys decide within that time.
Yeah, and if we agree to do the payment, they wouldn't get paid until the new fiscal year anyway, so
Yeah,
it's not gonna.
Vice Chair, and contact City of Raton and follow up on that.
Thank you.
Commissioner, where did you have?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, one thing I just want to make sure that if one of the services isn't providing the services we desire, I would recommend that, I'm not sure how to deal with that if we make that a stipulation, because the service providers are different throughout the county and their capabilities are different throughout the county. And I hate to punish everybody because one provider is not doing something you guys think they should be doing. And we also need to understand why that provider is not doing it. Those long haul trips are money makers. Red River used to pay for their fire and their EMS services by doing long hauls, but they had to quit because they didn't have the manpower. It wasn't that they didn't want to make the money. I mean, they had a service at one point set up where they had an ambulance and staff, 2 staff people, all the.
You lost your commissioner. Yeah, is he still on with us?
Looks like it is. He might have lost the connection.
The Commissioner Weir looks like we probably lost the connection. I do hear your point. Let's see where you're coming from. So I think this could be addressed at the next budget workshop on Monday, as far as what county manager of the board comes back with, and then allocating those funds. Any further questions?
Are there any restrictions or obligations or accountability on these funds, or is it just handed out?
No, there is accountability. I
didn't know if there was specific.
As stated earlier, this is MCMC, Medical Services. And we did work with ambulance districts, county, and we did have our county brigade very specific, and almost like a grant outlines to be used, and then they have to do reporting as well.
There's joint powers agreement that requires quarterly reporting, as well as it's spelled out of authorized expenditure use as well.
Thank you, Mrs. Kennedy. Any more discussion or questions from the audience? Fellow commissioners?
I have one going back to the budget.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
When we first started looking at this, the para thing, it was brought up because of law enforcement and the challenges that they're facing. In trying to keep up with salaries and benefits and that, and I hate to throw more at you, Jonah, but I would like to see possibly, let's say we do a 60-65% for all employees with the exception of law enforcement, and bring them to the max at 70.
Okay.
Awesome. Commissioner Weir?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I mean, I'm not agreeable with that. I think we need to treat all of our employees the same.
So. Is there any more comments or discussion on that? Okay, so, the next thing that I wanted to kind of discuss and get some direction on is, we have received, some new funds. The last few, or this last fiscal year, one of them is the local assistance and travel consistency fund. Currently, we have received money from that fund in the amount of $246,650. That we need to expend, and I believe we'll get the second disbursement next year for the same amount. So I kind of wanted to discuss and get some direction on, how you would like to expend that money. So in your packet, you have the guidance for the local assistance and travel consistency fund. So if you open up to page number 3, it kind of discusses some eligible uses. So this is kind of not really limited. You can use it for professional health services, educational services, court services, police, fire, emergency medical, utilities, sanitation services, capital expenditures on core facilities and equipment, including housing and community development, public safety, facilities and equipment, and government administrative buildings, infrastructure investments, including roads, bridges, water and sewer systems, utility systems, airports, public transportation and technology infrastructure. The list goes on and on. So, I just was looking for a little bit of direction from commission on how you would like to utilize those funds going forward.
What was the dollar amount again?
Currently, we've been awarded $246,650.
Well, if the commission decided that we wanted to do the EMS payments, it could come out of this and not the investment.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really limited to.
Right.
I mean, it can be used for a lot of
Pretty broad.
different things. It's pretty broad. That's pretty much the reason why I wanted to kind of get some input from commission. I know the last budget workshop, we kind of discussed earmarking funds for road and bridges and infrastructure. I know that there was also talk of perhaps purchasing buildings or upgrading buildings as well. So I know that we've also had some stuff going on at the airport, so I didn't really know what direction commission wanted to go with this.
Commissioner Ware?
So I'm not sure. The one thing about this that was unusual, and I think a good thing, is that it's federal funds that can be used in a match against other federal grants. Usually it's just the opposite, that those things are excluded. I don't know how many federal grants we have, but Jonah, what was the term? When do we have to spend this money by?
I haven't seen that. I know that we're getting our second disbursement next fiscal year.
When I read through it, I didn't see a spend by date.
I don't either.
Which means, I don't know, we're going to get this grant writer, hopefully. And if we start going after federal funds and there's a match associated with them, and we're going to struggle getting a match waiver because we have so much cash, I almost think we ought to hold on to this money for a little bit until after we get the grant writer to see if we need to use it for any federal grants that we get on our match portion.
That's actually a good idea.
Thank you, Chairman. You're, before Commissioner Brennan, you have a comment? One thing that I mean, I'm in favor of using a certain percentage of this money for the hospitals, or not for the hospitals, for the EMS services. But also, I'm thinking more long-term and I'm okay with waiting to see how the grant funding does come out, but we do have money in our general fund to use towards grants matching. So there's that, but I would like to I guess, improve on the Angel Fire Airport to make it more friendly for a private enterprise to come in and actually run the airport and just make it more desirable for the airport. And I think in doing so would help the Moreno Valley and Colfax County as a whole.
Well, maybe some of these funds could be used there to augment the huge gap in the hangar.
I would agree.
Yeah. So do we know what that gap is in the hangar, or what how much spending gap it is?
I think right now, we had 300,000.
Or,
Excuse me.
I thought it was more.
You know what the figure was?
Actually, it's right in between that. I think it was 346,000.
Okay. 346,000. But once again, I think when they actually priced out the hangars, it came in over $1 million. And so that's why that didn't go forward. But everything that's being discussed here right now, I think there's a lot of potential. I think having some money set aside to match, I think is a good idea. And I think probably a couple of the main priorities that we have would be the airport, Mr. Chairman, and also road and bridge department. Because I know we do have some main bridges and stuff like that.
Okay, so we don't really need to necessarily allocate this funding at this time. We just need to.
Okay.
I don't believe so. So I'd say let's just go ahead and hold on to it. As projects arise, maybe we can allocate these funds to those projects, or like Commissioner Weir stated, matching grant. Because I know coming new fiscal year, we do really want to go after state aviation and see if they can provide us any kind of funding for the Angel Fire Airport.
They've always been very good, very supportive, and in fact, that's where the grant came from for the hangars. But I think we, could talk to them and go back and ask them for. But I think it shows a good faith effort on the county's part and say, okay, we're willing to kick up this much. So, lots of options.
Thank you all.
Okay, so the next fund that was also new to us this year is the opioid fund, and that is actually very restricted. So if you look in your packet that I gave you, you have the agreement that Colfax County entered. So where this money came from is the class action lawsuit that was awarded to, well, that Colfax County actually participated in. Big Pharma, Johnson & Johnson, I think was one of them. There was about 4 or 5 different ones. And we've actually been receiving contributions from that lawsuit. So to date, what we've received is $157,174. And if you actually turn to Exhibit E on the handout that I gave you, it has the list of uses, and this is actually very restricted. What this money is restricted to is pretty much kind of law enforcement, detention, stuff like that. So naloxone for other FDA approved drugs to reverse opioid overdoses, treatment for people who might be going into recovery and treatment programs, treatment for incarcerated population, just pretty much anything that supports with opioid addiction and recovery.
What's the dollar on it?
$157,174.
So, Mr. Chairman, on this one, I would really like to see what or hear input from the warden on how she thinks that, what she thinks would be appropriate expenditure of these funds. Because it does seem that the way this is written and our interaction with the opioid issue is predominantly felt through the detention center. And so to me, I think that we should try and make sure that any programs that we have are related to the detention center and our whatever our warden wants to do, that, you know, or recommend as far as how to deal with the drug overdose issues that she has to deal with on a daily basis are fully financed so that we can act appropriately.
Thank you, Commissioner Weir. I would agree, and I'd also like to hear from the county sheriff, because these funds can be used for training and other prevention programs, maybe that could be done through the office, through the school, through this local community in general. So I know he sees a lot of it from the courthouse, et cetera. Warden Slade, would you mind speaking to this? Yeah, please. Commissioner Kern, did you have anything?
No, I was gonna say the same thing. I'd like to hear what the warden has to say, because I think this is probably the best place between her and the sheriff.
Thank you, Warden Slade.
You're welcome. Can you guys hear me? So I know a lot of the problem is right now is doing work in the back program. I know caseworkers and our provider how to do that program until the other grant comes in for crossroads. Because they're supposed to be coming in and they have that program and all that stuff. But I do know trainings, we need trainings. I know drug court could probably use a lot of some of it as well, because you know, there's some still going to be. The way the MAP program works, I don't know if you're familiar with it, is we actually have to put them on Suboxone. They have to be put on. I can't think of the ones for the alcohol. So, but that has to be put on for people who are alcoholics that come in. It's got to be the way it's looking. It's almost everybody that comes to the circle. They come in time, they get put on Suboxone. I know there's rules and things that have to be followed, but it's pretty serious. Everybody that comes in there, especially with Narcan for everybody, training for everybody, and all that costs. It costs money to distract without, even with the sheriffs with their training. And training is pretty much everything, so everybody's on the same page and we're used to that. So I think it would do really well. Caseworker, and I know, I believe, if I read it right, caseworker is also can be used for that. I think the only problem with that is if it's not really covering because county salaries. But yeah, I think it will do very well for us and for sheriffs and for especially since that
Thank you, Warden.
Under section B, it does cover everything that Warden Slade mentioned. related to the MAP program and education, treatment services, recovery support services, as well as provide training and awareness. So that is actually part of, under section B of the use of the, remediation uses.
Commissioner Ware, Commissioner Turner, do you guys have any more questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman, the only other thing I'd like to say is I would like to look into working with our school districts across Colfax County to do some education with our student bodies about the impact of opioids and how to recognize them and the challenges and that our kids are facing. So I know that's allowed in here. That's the other thing to me, if we're gonna beat this opioid thing, it's really gotta be at the source, and a big source, not the only source, but a big source is our youth. And so if the county could maybe hire somebody who does programs for our youth or figure out what our school districts need. I don't know the answer specifically, but I would like to see the youth addressed if possible.
Thank you, Commissioner Ware. Commissioner Turner.
Well, I think the DWI program does some outreach to the schools in that, and maybe it could be incorporated with what they're doing. I don't know, we have to talk to Lindsay about that, but maybe if manager and sheriff and the warden can get together and kind of come up with some ideas, you know, with some ballpark figures of what you're looking at for the commission to review.
Yes, I'll support that as well. I'm with Commissioner Ware. I think we need to kind of be in the schools or looking at the youth, try to stop or prevent this. Just for general. So. Yes.
The RAIN program is doing a lot of work too
Yeah.
with drug treatment in that, you know, and it would be worth probably reaching out to them and maybe some ideas, or if they have a need.
Well, definitely, I'll call Jenkins. In charge of running on this for opportunities to help us.
So, just to mention, like for my providers who become on that program until we can get to do our MAP program in our facility. Prior to approximately coming in and doing what they're supposed to be doing, so we can get it started sooner. You have to have somewhere for them to go. And I believe, so if we put them on Suboxone, they have to go see a provider outside of the facility for continued care. And I'm not sure, there might be one here at home. I'm not sure.
Crossroads.
Well, they can send them to Crossroads, but I don't know how many people are going to actually go to Crossroads until that transition happens and they come in with that grant.
Isn't there another one in town?
I think there's one in Springer. Well, I don't know with the doctors and the overload, and I mean, that's probably gonna be it. I mean, we just don't have a lot of physicians for that in the transition, and if it's 10 out of 15 people coming to the facility, have to have that transition. And having to get with these guys, and I will, to make sure that, they can get that transition, but that can be part of the problem too. It's not having enough somewhere for them to go after they get with the facility. Because they have to have somebody. But if we put 30 people out on the streets that we have to put on the spot, we get quite a few in there, just give them ballpark. But, she'd be willing to take that and continue on, we don't say them, so. Because if they don't have anyone to go to, we can't remember, at least until, something will happen. Part of that is just, we've got to have our support system outside of the facility that these folks are present. And that's always been a big issue for, mental health and all that stuff.
Thank you, Ward Slade. So, yeah, if you would, with sheriff and county, maybe we could go with some numbers. And you guys think that's allocate these funds.
Okay, so, that's pretty much all I had, I guess. I had originally scheduled a budget workshop for Tuesday morning. So it's my understanding we want to forego the budget workshop on Tuesday morning and actually have it on Monday to follow the,
I'm fine anyway.
Yes. That's good.
okay, so we'll do it on Monday and then we'll just get preliminary approval on Tuesday, during the regular session.
Works for me.
Okay. And
So
if anybody else has any questions, that's everything that I have.
9 and 9:15, then 9 o'clock for the Jefferson and 9:15 for the budget.
It's fine.
Is there any more discussion from the audience? Commissioner Reardon?
So is that Monday? You're talking about Monday, the 22nd?
Yes,
Or
sir.
are you talking about Monday? I'm sorry?
Monday, the 22nd.
Okay, at what time?
There's a canvas at 9 AM and then the budget workshop to follow at 9:15.
Okay.
See no further discussion. I'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you all.
Jonah, good job. Word of Slade, thank you very much.
You can have a second.